So you're a founder, you've got this amazing idea, and you're on a mission to build something that really matters. But what if I told you that one of the biggest reasons promising companies fail has nothing to do with their product? Let's get into it. And there it is. That's the whole ballgame. So many founders lose control of their own companies, not because they built the wrong thing, but because of a document, a simple spreadsheet that, if you get it wrong, can literally cost you everything. The stakes couldn't be higher.
So, what even is a cap table? Well, think of it like the financial DNA of your company. It's the master document that spells out exactly who owns what piece of the pie. And if you mess this up in the early days, oh man, it's like building your dream house on a cracked foundation. Fixing it later is not just painful, it's incredibly expensive.
Let's start by thinking of your cap table as the blueprint for your company's ownership. It's the master plan. And just like with any blueprint, if you don't read it carefully from day one, you could end up building something you never, ever intended to.
Okay, so where does it usually go wrong? Mistake number one almost always happens right at the very beginning. It starts with an exciting idea, a couple of co-founders, and a handshake deal that feels totally fair in the moment, but turns into a massive landmine later on.
Just look at the difference here. On the left, you have the classic handshake deal. You and your co-founder split it 50-50. Simple, right? But what happens if they walk away after 6 months? Well, they take half the company with them. Now look at the right. The protected deal uses something called vesting, which makes sure that ownership is earned over time. This one simple change protects the entire company. So how does vesting actually work? Well, a standard 4-year schedule with a 1-year cliff is your best friend here. Here's the breakdown. For the first full year, nobody actually owns their shares. That's the cliff. It's a trial period. If you make it past that year, boom, 25% of your shares vest. After that, you earn a little bit more every single month for the next 3 years. This is so critical because it ties ownership directly to contribution and commitment. No work, no equity. Simple as that.
All right, let's move on to the next big trap. I call this one the hidden cost of free. This is what happens when you're just starting out, you don't have any cash, and you start making promises for sweat equity without any real paperwork to back it up.
You know what I'm talking about, right? The classic equity on a napkin deal. You promise a buddy 2% to build you a quick prototype, or you offer an early contractor a little slice of the company instead of paying their invoice. These verbal promises feel harmless, but they are ticking time bombs. They create confusion, tension, and some serious legal risks that will absolutely scare off investors down the line.
And here's how it snowballs. You give a percent here to an advisor, a percent there to a contractor, and before you know it, 5, maybe even 10% of your company is spoken for. The real kicker? When it's finally time to hire that rock star engineer who can actually build the product, you look at your cap table and realize you have no meaningful equity left to offer them. You've given it all away for small favors.
Now, this brings us to another super common pitfall, especially in today's fundraising climate: raising money with safes. You've probably heard of them. They're fast, they're easy, but if you don't track them properly, they can lead to a massive, gut-wrenching surprise.
So you might be thinking, okay, I've raised a few small checks on safe notes. What's the big deal? It doesn't really feel like you've given anything away yet because it's all future equity. It's not real until it is. See, before your first big, priced round of funding, your cap table looks amazing. It's so simple. It's just you and your co-founders owning 100% of this thing you're building. Everything's clean. You feel like you're in total control. And then, bam, the funding round happens, and all those safes you signed suddenly convert into actual equity. This is the shock. All of a sudden, 20%, or maybe even more, of your company is just gone. And look, the problem isn't just the dilution, it's the surprise. When you look surprised by your own numbers in front of new investors, their confidence in you plummet. It tells them you weren't on top of your game. Okay, enough doom and gloom. We've talked about all the ways this can go wrong. Let's talk about how to get it right. Because a clean, well-managed cap table isn't just about avoiding disaster, it's a powerful tool you can use as leverage.
When you go out to pitch your company, it's so easy to think it's all about your amazing product, your brilliant tech. But trust me, sophisticated investors are looking at something much, much deeper.
They are absolutely going to dig into your numbers, all of them, your financials, your projections, and especially your ownership structure. Because here's the secret.
Your numbers, and especially your cap table, tell a story. They reveal everything about your judgment as a founder. They show how you make decisions, how you value people, and whether you're actually thinking 5 steps ahead.
Let me just put it bluntly. To a serious investor, sloppy ownership signals sloppy thinking, period. It doesn't matter how great your idea is. If your cap table is a chaotic mess, it's a massive red flag about your ability to actually run a business.
But on the flip side, when you get it right, a clean cap table sends all the right signals. It screams that you're thoughtful, that you're strategic. It shows that you've protected the company's assets, you've planned for future growth, and you make smart deals, not desperate ones. That's what gives an investor the confidence they need to write that check.
And this all leads to the ultimate goal, right? It's about owning what you build. But your equity, your ownership, is basically worthless if it isn't tied to real defensible value. And that brings us to one last critical link, the one between your equity and your intellectual property. This is such a huge mistake, and it happens all the time. Say you start coding a prototype before you've officially incorporated the company. Guess what? That code, that IP, legally belongs to you personally, not the company. And until it's formally transferred over, investors won't touch you. Why? Because the company has to own the very assets that create all of its value.
And this right here is the mindset shift that every single founder needs to make. Stop thinking about your cap table as just a list of all the equity you're giving away. Start seeing it as your strategic plan for what you intend to keep and how you're going to use that ownership to build something incredible.
So, I'll leave you with this one question to really think about. Look at your own company right now. Is your ownership structure an asset, a source of strength that gives you leverage? Or is it a hidden liability just waiting to blow up down the line? The answer to that question could very well define the entire future of what you're building.